Hello, this is what I've been thinking with Marcus Cajun. I decided to catch up with you guys real quick for my predictions on Super Tuesday since it's coming up tomorrow, and I have a couple other things which I'm working on later. I wanted to try to drop a quick video for you guys. This one won't have a lot of graphics or details, but I figure the important part is the information, right? So, all right, let's get straight to it. First state we'll talk about is Arkansas. Arkansas, I have that one. I predict that one to go to Biden. And I think Bernie's going to be on the borderline to viability. I'm not certain that he will get viability in this state, but I think it's pretty likely. The way I have it, first off for Bernie is, I honestly only see the possibility of this first state, Arkansas, or Alabama being the two states which he may not meet viability in. That said, it doesn't look quite the same for some of the other candidates, which I will elaborate on as I go through this. So I predict Arkansas to go to Biden. Bernie might catch viability, but I don't see any other candidate getting viability after that. Alabama. Alabama, I believe Biden will take Alabama. Bernie might not be viable there. It's a possibility. Bloomberg might actually get a couple of delegates in Alabama. Next, on to the all-important state of California. California, I'm predicting a big Bernie win, even with the dropping out of Mayor Pete and Amy Klobuchar. I feel like those dropouts, though the support can shift many different ways, or they can end up going to help Biden out, or maybe they can decide, well, maybe we should go for Warren since she's closer in the state to help her out. I'm not certain how all that's going to shake out. Whether Warren actually does meet viability, because in plenty of polls she's slightly above it or slightly below it, so it can go either way depending on the margin of error. With Buttigieg and Amy dropping out, it could leave the possibility that Biden actually could meet viability. So if we have a scenario, which that's a worst case scenario in my opinion, that not only does Warren meet viability, but Joe Biden also, which that will split up the amount of delegates. I believe it's 415 or 430, somewhere around there. It will split those delegates up in a way which it won't be the end of the world, and it won't, end Bernie, but it'll definitely make it much more likely that we lead to a broker convention scenario. Colorado, I have Colorado being a Bernie stronghold. Small possibility that Biden could meet viability, but I'm not certain there. Democrats abroad. Most of the polling I've been seeing with active duty military and especially abroad has shown that Bernie Sanders has been kind of really kicking butt as far as veterans. He's raises, easily like triple the amount of all the other candidates combined as far as from active duty and veterans. So we'll go on to the next state of Maine. Maine, in that northeast corridor, though it's not certain that we'll necessarily win it in the general election. If it's Bernie Sanders, I believe it's far more likely that we will win Maine. But in this one, I predict Bernie will take this one pretty handily, and I don't see Biden actually meeting viability or any other candidate meeting viability in this state. Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren's home state. I predict Bernie to beat Elizabeth Warren in her home state. Elizabeth Warren will do somewhat decent. I think she will hit viability. Joe Biden, I do not think will hit viability in Massachusetts. Our next state, Minnesota. Minnesota, my prediction is that Bernie will take Minnesota, with a pretty good margin. Because of the simple fact that Amy Klobuchar dropped out, and I believe that the numbers might have been a little bit padded. I feel that yes, some of that support from Biden, from Klobuchar, will lend over to Biden, but I believe that also some of it's going to go over to Warren. So I believe that that's going to make it harder for both of them to overtake Bernie's lead in the state. But it might get them to viability, which I'm not certain how that'll work, but it's a possibility that it might not make a difference and it could help increase Bernie's lead. So, Super Tuesday's tomorrow, so we will see how all that plays out. North Carolina. Before a lot of the polling that's come out before South Carolina, Bernie was predicted to be up. I do hear the arguments that the electorate is similar, this and that. It is, but it's not at the same time. North Carolina is a little bit further ahead of South Carolina. And you got to remember, South Carolina is a state which actually voted for Obama, and then they turned around and voted for Trump. So it's not that it's in some kind of blue stronghold, moderate stronghold, progressive, whatever. The voters there, it's a mixture. So it's not going to be South Carolina where you have conservative Democrats and you have conservative Republicans. You're going to have a mixture of all the different lenses. And that's why I believe that Bernie Sanders will outperform the polls regardless of what they're thinking, trying to tie all black voters to South Carolina black voters, which I'm a black voter. I'm not with the bullshit they're talking about. Sorry for cursing. I try my best to try to hold back the language part, but I am a sailor and it's naturally there. I do think Biden will hit viability though, and I think that he will get delegates. Oklahoma. Oklahoma, I think that's going to be an interesting state. For those of you guys who don't remember, but Bernie Sanders actually won Oklahoma in 2016. I feel he still has a lot of that same base and support and has expanded it. But because you have the fears of, just need to beat Trump, it's not as much focused on policy in some of these redder, more moderate states. So the focus gets narrowed to can you beat Trump and forget what you do for like the other 15,000 days you're going to be president or whatever. Forget that. None of that stuff's important. It's only just get Trump out of there and then whatever. Let's just hope that you don't do as bad. But Oklahoma, I do see the possibility of Bernie actually surprising people and doing either better than projected or possibly coming back and winning that state. Don't hold me to it. Right now, I do have Biden taking the state. And I think Bloomberg may get some delegates out of it also, but I wouldn't count Bernie out in this one. It's a toss-up. Tennessee. Now, Tennessee, I can say the voters are more similar to South Carolina, and they're older population. That's something that was also different from North Carolina. North Carolina's population is actually a lot younger than South Carolina's, and that makes a difference, which I don't feel many people are factoring in when they start talking about these black voters and conservative black voters. And most of this stuff breaks down along age demographic lines. So most of the younger voters are not more conservative. Even in the South, they're not more conservative. That's a myth, a fairy tale, which high-minded people on TV that know better want to try to push into your head. Okay, and Texas. I honestly think that they're underpolling Bernie Sanders supporters, and I honestly think that Bernie is going to do very, very well in Texas. I do think that, of course, Biden will definitely pick up delegates. Possibility that Bloomberg may also, but I don't see any other candidate being viable. If you guys have noticed a trend here, I haven't noticed very many times where I personally have said Elizabeth Warren is going to be viable. Next, on to Utah. I'm calling Utah for Bernie. A lot of the polls are showing it that way. I think that the electorate there is a little bit more educated, and I don't mean educated as in schooling. I mean educated as in on the issues and topics, and are a little bit more well versed than some of their counterparts in South Carolina and places like that, which will let Biden flat out lie to them and then vote for him anyway, or let Clyburn, who has, such a long civil rights record, just toss that away for a segregationist. But whatever, that's a whole other story. Let's see, Vermont, of course, we already know that's Bernie's home territory. I see nothing but a massive blowout. No other candidate's going to be viable. Virginia, before South Carolina, Biden wasn't doing very well there. Of course, you have the whole DC class and a lot of those people there. And with the recent dropouts of Amy and Pete, I think it is going to help Biden. I'm not certain how that's going to completely lay out, but this one I have to lean towards Biden, with Bernie being viable, getting some delegates. But I lean this one towards Biden after South Carolina. I think that that's close enough to that whole DC bubble that it will make a difference. So I guess that total I have here, I have Joe Biden with five states. And I have Bernie Sanders picking up 9, including the Democrats abroad. So I look at, out of these 15 contests, I look at, after Tuesday, we're going to be looking at a Biden, Bernie, and if Bloomberg wants to just stick it out, even though I don't think he's going to have a lot of delegates, I think he's going to be somewhere around the same place which Elizabeth Warren is as far as the delegate math. So if she wants to keep dragging it out, I mean, at this point, Bernie is literally the only person who can actually meet that full 1911, I believe. No other candidate can. And that will require for even certain things to just fall perfectly in line for Bernie to even hit that, with how well Biden just did in South Carolina, and with the delegate math being a little bit shaky in the other 3 contests. So that's all I have to say on that. I wanted to kind of give you guys my prediction and kind of what to look for in some of these areas. I think that if Elizabeth Warren gets trounced in Massachusetts, she has to get out. I mean, if she doesn't, it's just a waste at that time. One other person. Now, I know I'll probably get some flack from this. There's some people that I respect and like, and some of my other friends and followers that won't enjoy this last take. But at this point, Tulsi Gabbard, though as a veteran, I love everything she's pushing for. I do have issues with her, especially like on her vote for Promesa Act, which, if you guys don't know what Promesa is, it was basic austerity cuts on the island of Puerto Rico, which led to a lot more of the budgetary and finance problems. So I have issues with Tulsi in certain areas, and I always keep everything to policy. But at this point, how low she's polling, there's no way that even if she just started going on a stretch, that the party is going to give her the nomination over any person else. I'm not one of those people who are yelling, Tulsi, you better get out or you're hurting the movement. I don't think she's hurting the movement. I just don't think she's helping herself, because even if she gets on the stage, unless her overall goal is to just continue to push the party more to the left as far as foreign policy and anti-interventionist, if that's what her push is, then okay, then yeah, stay in. I have no problem with it at all. But I honestly at this point don't see what pathway which she's going towards. And I mean, at some point, her staying in, I feel, starts to just make her look bad at a certain point. you guys might disagree with me, whatever, but you know, somebody who is a fan of Tulsi, even though I have my critiques and issues, I still would rather see her be able to get out of this process and be able to build more goodwill for her to be able to build her career in the future, whether it's running for president again or whether it ends up being in an administrator in a future Sanders administration or another progressive president down the road. That, I mean, regardless of that, you know, I do wish Tulsi Gabbard well, and I know what it's like when your candidate's not doing the greatest and you still got a lot of passion behind them. So I'm not going to go and kick anybody's candidate while they're down. That said, you guys have a good one. Hopefully we can bring this home on Super Tuesday. Oh yeah, I have a video I'm going to be working on. It's going to be called my rally point of view. I don't know. I'll figure out a name for it. But basically, I went to the Bernie rally here at the LA Convention Center. Those of you who follow my Twitter already know I posted a couple of things, but I'm going to do like a little bit of a video clip for you guys to see what my experience was like there. Got a couple of great videos with Public Enemy going to town, keeping the party hype, and one of his artists, a Latina from Chile, which I mean, it was beautiful. So I'm working on that for you guys. So look forward to that. Also, if you guys are not watching the Convo Couch, you know, not paying attention to Graham Elwood or any of the other independent commentators that we have out here, please, I ask you to go and support these other independents. And that said, you guys have a good one. Thank you.